I'm trying not to disturb him. Aww. Isn't he cute? Look at his big alien eyes. Yeah. Now if he would just stop harassing Tommy, we'd be in business. She's so stressed out. She's losing hair. I feel really bad for her. We got her some, we got one of those pheromone things to plug into the wall, so I got her some, like, kitty weed cookies, you know? So hopefully that makes them both chill the fuck out. Because he's a very sweet kitty. He just has no manners. Oh, chomp. Chomp, chomp. I've been told I look like Mary Elizabeth Winstead, yeah. Thank you. It's quite a compliment. Hi, Josie. How are you? I hope everybody's doing well. Yeah, the other cat is not handling it well. I feel so bad for her. It's pretty sad. She used to be so confident. Good, 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 good. What's biryani? Yum, 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 yum. You're right. You're right. I deserve it. Oh, God. Can you hear the purring? Can you? No, I think you're I think you're hearing my window unit. He's not purring for once. Man, when we took him in, he was the clingiest kitten you've ever seen. He was already he's grown since we got him, but not that much. He was a big kitten. And he was like, I guess grateful. I guess he was doing gratitude. I don't know, it seems pretty like abstract for a cat, but he would just like sit, he would follow us around everywhere, immediately jump into our laps anytime we sat down, and would just purr so hard he would vibrate. Ow, shit. Okay, get out of here. A mixed rice dish traditionally made with rice, meat, seafood, or vegetables and spices. Present in Mughal era India, the whether it was created there is debated. Okay. Good to know. So I need to do dissertation work. Always I am needing to do dissertation work. So give me a second. Let's see. Just need to get rid of a couple of tabs here. I'm sick of this shit. I should have listened to my advisor and done an easy project. This shit's hard. It's hard. Window capture. Bop, 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 bop. There we go. I debated whether to do this also, just because I hate showing work in progress. It's embarrassing. Don't look. Don't look. I mean, I feel like the ceiling for this stream is gonna be like 30 people max, so I guess it's fine. Whatever. I haven't streamed in like 2 weeks, I think, which is the longest I've gone without streaming since I started streaming, so gotta do something. Hey, do one thing every day that scares you, huh? Oh, you hate to see it. There we go. Hi, Mike. Hello, everybody. Don't worry, Leo, read. Dr. Colleen has a nice ring, does it? My dad, I will share this with you people because I think it's very charming and it made me very happy. Get out of here! Go away! NC State wrote a little article about me, which is very nice of them. And my dad said to me, "Hey kid, I read the article / interview from NC State. Very nice. ... Okay, I get a good boomer ellipsis in there. Felt an sorry. This is why this fucking dissertation's taking me so long. I'm just too easily distracted. I do not have like a scholar's disposition. What he said was, felt a strange but really nice new feeling that I've not felt before. Reading for the first time my last name next to an opinion and knowing that it wasn't me felt weird and good and moving and proud. Well done. Keep it up. And the reason I laughed is because my dad has a really strong accent. And so instead of saying felt a strange new feeling, what he said was felt an estrange new feeling. Estrange is what he typed, which is very cute. I had an interesting conversation with my wife about Facebook and how corporate securities law creates perverse incentives that make ethical behavior impossible. Yup. In fact, be right back. Villain Inspector, ask your wife if she's read this. It's super good. It's super good and it's super interesting. It's like I mean, it's basically ethnographic work. It's really surprising how much stuff now that I'm doing that kind of work myself, how much stuff ends up being ethnographic. It's like all the writing that I have sort of admired my whole life, it just turns out that it's all been ethnographic. So this book is about, it says it's Industry Unbound, the inside story of privacy data and corporate power. It sounds pretty basic. Basically what it is an ethnographic study of privacy workers in the tech industry. And kind of the entire thing is about, it's hard to explain. It's basically a study about how people can do their jobs, feel like they're doing their jobs, and yet not be doing their jobs. So it's just let's see if we can find something in here. It's a pretty dense book. Like it's very well bound. The pages are quite thin. So it ends up being a lot longer and more involved than the size of this book might imply. Let me see if I can find a good passage here. So this is why I can't do research on stream. I just get too easily distracted. Hold Let's see. Da. My dad sounds cool. He is cool. As cool as a dad can be, you know? Okay. Let's see. I feel like Russell Brand, like, flipping through the Bible. You know? He has so many conversations in this book, and I'm trying to find a good one, a potent one, you know. Okay. This is not bad. And it's like, it's the kind of conversation that, oh God, this fucking dissertation work is part of the reason it's taking so long is because I'm getting to the point in the dissertation, which I understand is very common, especially for humanities and social science, where like everything is now the dissertation, and like there's none, like you get like nothing you encounter in the world is unrelated to what you're studying, you know. Everything can be included, and so I've got like way too much information, and very little of it comparatively is actually going to make it into the final product. It's very weird. Okay, so this guy's at some mystery tech company. I think it's probably Facebook. And he's, you know, shadowing some people. The group discussed technical matters for the next 8 minutes. As for the account setup, they narrowed their options down to a required sign-in with the option to use Facebook or Google or an email, with the key being a seamless process so there's no interruption in access anywhere. Anthony ended the meeting, and I walked with him to his computer. I was told you were going to ask me some questions about how we do things here, so ask. I'm here to observe and interview some people. Yes. How did you think that meeting went? In and out, fine, he said. They know what they have to do. It's a good group of guys. The word engagement came up a few times. Can you tell me what that means in terms a layperson could understand? Look, I don't have time to lay this all out for you. Engagement is use. It's the amount of time people use it, how much they use it, how often they click on what we want them to click on, how often they buy things, engagement with the product. Got it. Is engagement usually in the background, as you said, of what you do? Almost always it has to be, or else what we build wouldn't be successful. You know, we can't make it if people don't use our apps, and if people don't use our apps, then we're all out of a job. I'm sure I could get another one, but that's not the point. Why be in business at all if we're not building things people will use? You're a product manager, I said. How do you make sure privacy issues get addressed? Let me ask that better. What have you done in the past to make sure the work that you and your team are doing include privacy considerations? What do you mean by privacy? I'm not normally here, so you wouldn't have had the benefit of asking someone from the outside what privacy means to them, I said. I mean, privacy is important around here, but I really have no idea what it means other than making sure everything we do is secure up and down the line. That's just what privacy is. Obviously, I can wrap my head around that. I trained for it. I've built things. I've done everything my team does now, but a lot of people talk about privacy, and I don't always know what they mean. So based on what you think privacy means, what actual steps have you taken in your job here to make sure the products you and your team design have taken privacy into account? Nothing goes out this door if it creates vulnerability. You probably don't want me to get into threat modeling. And we know that if a product we sell has problems, if people can steal information, if it's left unencrypted, if we store information in insecure ways or in unsecured places, we're going to hear from people about it. We take privacy very seriously. So like, it's just conversation after conversation of people like talking around these abstractions, these completely abstracted ideas that they then can like circuitously, that then sort of allows them to circuitously come back to, well, privacy is very important to us, of course. Privacy is very important, you know. I don't like this Elden Ring mod. Oh, man. Um, what else? Anything else interesting in this book? Bop, 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 bop. I haven't read this in a couple years. So I'm just looking at my little margin notes, my little scribblies. It's crap, yeah. I know. Here's a good paragraph. I know because I put a star next to it. Privacy, of course, is not the same as encryption or security, nor should privacy be limited to choice or control or transparency. But these narratives of privacy are relevant because what these people think about privacy matters. If they think their privacy responsibilities end at encryption, technology designs will look different than if they were concerned about data processing. It is no accident that privacy as security and privacy as choice were common privacy definitions among information industry employees. Conceptualizing privacy in these ways is both a direct result of corporate inculcative behavior and an important factor in surveillance designs. Yep. I don't know, man. The more I think about it, the more I think we should either get rid of social media entirely or kind of redesign it from the ground up in a way that is going to make it kind of completely unrecognizable, you know? Like it, like basically just like, like I wouldn't, I think a system, it's hard to tell because I'm not a move things and move fast and break things kind of person, you know, but like limiting things like doing things like here's an idea. What if we limited Twitter use to, your 100, not even 100, to your surrounding 50-mile radius, you know? And it becomes just a regional thing. It basically just becomes like glorified Nextdoor. Like that sounds better. That sounds better to me, you know? Like we need to start thinking about ways that we can reconstruct social media in a way that's not gonna be global in the way that it is now, you know? It's bad. I know there's all yeah, privacy is very important to me in that you don't try to parse what I say or do for money ever in my life. When Bayer accidentally made heroin, we eventually made them stop selling it. It's so weird. It's actually one of the things that I really want to get into the philosophy of with the conclusion of this project is why social media escaped the scrutiny that all other technologies, especially communications technologies, were under for most of the 20th century and really forever, you know. I mean, even when print was introduced, it was immediately regulated, like not well, not well everywhere, definitely, but it was at least a concern. Like it used to be that when a social media, or not in social media, but like when a mass media technology was introduced, the first thing you thought about was, fuck, how do we get in front of all the problems this is going to like cause, you know? I have no idea what you're talking about, but that goes hard. Yeah, if I'm president, the phone's turning off at 8 p.m. Social media shuts down when the sun does. I don't know who Audrey Tang is. Or do I? Do I? Audrey Tang. I do know who Audrey Tang is. I just haven't read any of their stuff. I feel like they are they. Oh, nope, she. Nope. She. She, they. Did my state have midterms? Yes. I wonder if it's because Facebook was originally seen as a tool for college kids from the outside. That is true, but what do you mean? I wonder if it's because what is it? What are you talking about? I probably agree. Okay, so I need to organize this shit. Um, this is, ugh, fuck's sake, man. So my dad told me that when he was for all of his grad students, he requested 35-page chapters. That was the word count that they had to meet. I am at 29, and it's not done. It's like, there's still more shit I have to add. And also, this is the second draft. So I have to like, and most of this is new stuff. This isn't. The introduction is not. The introduction, by the way, is basically my bad anthropology video from a few weeks ago. So I need to lift. I need to go through the first draft and lift a bunch of it. Figure out what's going to make it into this draft and what's probably going to end up in the introduction. The theory is falling rate of profit. They couldn't regulate it, make the same amount of profit to keep the system going. Oh, you mean for why we don't regulate? Oh, yeah, that's transparently why. I mean, not to like single you out, Camden, but the fact that you had to, the fact that that is a framing that you had to present that idea with is itself like kind of a like kind of points to the central issue here, though. Like the reason we don't regulate social media the way that we regulated every other form of mass media is because of not just capitalism, but specifically neoliberalism. Like it's the the weird thing about social media is that it just like threw a complete monkey wrench into all of the political theory that constructed neoliberalism, because to the right, social media, to both the left and the right, the sort of neoliberal status quo, the neoliberal establishment that ran, politics in the United States through 2016, like both of them interpreted social media, like social media truly is where the rift started, I think, because the Democrats, the like center left establishment, because of neoliberalism, because they had like painted themselves into this corner where the entire economy is structured in order to give people jobs, and jobs is the only thing that fucking matters. And we have to take all of everybody's tax money and put them back into, funnel that into government services that are going to bolster the formal market economy instead of just providing, direct support and services. Instead we have to do, this is why all our tax money goes to fucking, subsidizing Amazon and SpaceX and shit, is because of neoliberalism. Because the idea is that if everybody is just making money, then nobody will have anything to complain about. And so because social media we're all like, made in the Silicon Valley boom, and, are American companies with just enormous valuations, and also because that Silicon Valley attitude looked liberal to them, and often was liberal, and also like none of these people maintain very coherent ideologies because they don't interact with the rest of society, so they're not they're not obligated to be coherent or to challenge themselves or anything. So Democrats couldn't do anything. Democrats couldn't introduce the idea of regulating social media fast enough because it's the fucking end of history. And so, obviously these media companies, these tech social media companies are going to usher us into the bright chrome future. Obviously, that's what they do. And the Arab Spring and Occupy Wall Street situation only helped that image. And so like the U.S. government asked Twitter to put off maintenance of the website while the Iranian protests were going on. like there's always been, this partnership between media and government, and to say nothing about big business and government, right? Like we contract out a lot of our infrastructure. That's how it works. And so the Democrats assumed that all these people who came out of the Silicon Valley tech culture, what is the word I'm looking for? It's like, it's that the Silicon Valley tech culture is really, really strange because it comes out of this bizarre kind of pseudo anarchist, hippie commune kind of radical ideas about how to restructure society. This is why this is the kind of person Jack Dorsey is. This is, this was the kind of person Alex Karp was. All these people, the common cause they had with each other is that they reject establishment social structure. And the Democrats didn't understand that because they didn't take any of this shit seriously, because it's the end of history and we're in the future now, and nothing has any consequences ever again. And then meanwhile, the right wing correctly clocked the structure of social media as something that was going to be very, very useful in their propaganda campaigns. And so what happened as soon as Facebook and Twitter became ubiquitous? The fucking Tea Party. People are, I think it's a huge problem that we have to come to terms with in this country, and none of the things that plague us are going to be solved in any real way, either materially or as just a matter of our psychological momentum, until we recognize how destructive social media has been to society. There's no amount of tinkering that's gonna fucking fix this, and admitting that is the death of establishment American politics, literally. It's fucking crazy. California ideology, yes. That's such an easy phrase to remember. I'm so fried, dude. First use of electronic surveillance by cops was when a freelance phone tapper started recording a prominent bootlegger's home line. He immediately tried to get the bootlegger to bribe him to destroy the tapes. Jesus. Yeah, I mean, look what's happening with all the flock cameras. It's a big rash of cops using them to stalk their exes and shit, It's like... we have just utterly ceased to put any mind or any thought toward how technology can be used badly, which is nuts. It's fucking insane. And yeah, that the specific kind of propaganda that the Republicans found use of that in is goes back to the very, very original neoliberalism. The neoliberalism began in earnest with Reagan, a Republican, and this is how the Democrats boxed themselves into this corner, is because you can't say, oh my God, social media is gonna fucking save the world through its decentralized, connecting of all these people who will use it to rise up against their oppressors and whatever. And then also turn around and say, oh, this is really dangerous, actually, and mass media needs to be really carefully deployed and not just done willy-nilly. But that is the sort of that is at least the neoliberal Republican you know, base of operations is that you don't need the government to do anything. Social media is going to do that for you. And that's why the first, you know, the earlier eras of social media, of right-wing social media influencing, what were they about? They were not about being right-wing. They were about being classically liberal. The fuck are we going to do, you know? I've not titled this project yet. There's a scholar I know, I promoted his channel in a community post a few weeks ago. There's a scholar I know, I think somewhere in Canada, I think. And I was a reader on a book he wrote about this same subject that's going to come out this year. And he titled it The Parasocialists, which is so good. I wish I thought of it. Say 35-page chapters. I get flashbacks to the guy who completed an English lit degree and his final thesis was a literal novel. That's basically what I've trapped myself into. I fucking committed to making this videos. Fuck. Why did I do that? Why did I do that? I mean, it's going fine. I just don't like working. Is really what this is about. How much do you think we should blame the Matrix for the introduction of Neo into the liberal world? Ugh. Thymotic anger? I don't know. Let's look it up. What does thymotic mean? Just learned a new word. Thymotic. Related to or derived from thymotic acid. Or thymol. Ancient Greek concept of spiritedness. Okay. So I guess just like perhaps we're just spirited anger. Fucking hate scholars. So if thymotics here, this seems to be like a word that specifically refers to like spiritedness in a particular in like an embodied way, like in like a humors kind of way, you know. Like the thymos is something that lives in is a substance in your blood that like that kind of thing is what I'm getting here. Ill thymotics and healthy thymotics. Thymotic. AdamSmith.org. Sure. Whatever. Whatever. Oh yeah, here you go. Fukuyama describes the emotion rising from these affronts as thymotic anger. That is anger deriving from a wounded sense of self-worth that exists because people believe, consciously or not, that their dignity is ultimately at stake in disputes over money. Okay. That makes sense to me. I don't think it's necessarily correct, but it makes sense. The difference is the right wing co-opted the Tea Party and the Democrats tried to suppress Occupy Wall Street. Yep. Being honest, the seeds of neoliberalism even started earlier with Carter. No, I disagree. Carter was not implementing, you know, the like Mont Pelerin society philosophies into public policy. Carter would have been Keynesian still, and there are, you know, criticisms you can have about Keynesianism for sure, but it's definitely not the same as neoliberalism. Uh-huh. You can use social media so people will say the news to you, or so that people will feel the news at you. And it turns out the second one is a lot easier. Yup. This entire Twitter chapter is about affect, basically. You know, Twitter is an affectual platform much more than the others, which seems, I don't know, might be unexpected to people, because on Facebook you're supposed to talk with your friends, and on YouTube you're literally making videos. There's a lot more like aesthetic substance there, but Twitter is the most kind of fucking aesthetically loosey-goosey and subject to emotion, I feel. I used to laugh about how weird occult beliefs becoming popular in Weimar Germany and listen to Joe Rogan talk about Graham Hancock and read the comments and cry. Isn't it weird how these things converge? How this like bizarre esoteric mysticism always seems to crop up. This like little outbreaks of it every time, every time whatever it is we're calling fascism starts to emerge. It's like, I just thought of this. I'd have to think about it more, but it seems like, yet another reason to sort of reassess the term fascism and how we're describing it, or how we're defining it, and through what vector we're defining it, and whether the most appropriate approach is as a matter of political philosophy. I argue that it's not. Fascism is not a political philosophy, and that's why I advocate against using the term, because fascist is a political philosophy term, and I don't think that whatever we're calling fascism is political philosophy. And I think that the consistency of this kind of like, of that kind of weird mysticism, the, crunchy to alt-right pipeline, that's real, that's consistent. And I don't think that that's something that, that is kind of even really available to think about if we're just thinking about fascism in terms of political philosophy, Ugh, I'm covered in ant bites right now. There's so many fucking ants around my house. Thank you, Josie. I don't know. I'm trying to write the way that I write videos. Oh yeah. Somebody asked Sunday about thymotic anger. There you go. Immediacy, the style of too late capitalism. No, but it's open in one of my hundreds of tabs. I should immediacy, the style of too late capitalism. Let's go ahead and put it at the bottom of this draft over here. Because the God fucking damn it, OneDrive is always kicking me out. One of the issues that I know is gonna happen with this project is that like it's still too light on theory, and that's just because I'm writing down my own thoughts, but I know that I'm not the first person to think of most of them, so I'm gonna have to do a bunch of quote mining before I actually turn this in, at least for the introduction conclusion. Okay. Oh my god, my feet are so fucking itchy. Ah! I did hear that MySpace is coming back. Maybe. Problem with using the term fascism is people associate it with the material conditions in the 1930s, which are very different than the conditions we're in now. That is one problem, yeah. Kind of similar to the way people talk about communism. Boop, boop, boop. Yeah, no, that's a very good point. The reactionaries in the 30s were reacting to the rise of industrial modernism, and reactionaries now are reacting to its decline. Yeah, and like I also think that people are not talking enough about, because I think it would like disrupt a lot of the sort of theoretical expectations about how people are approaching this issue. How much the modern right is I want to make a video about this, but I just like, I feel like I don't know enough. I just don't like, I don't know enough theory to like articulate what I'm observing, where it's like these guys they're not coming up with this aesthetic on their own. They are aping previous fascist aesthetics that those guys came up with on their own, you know? And that is so bizarre. That's so strange. I have no idea what to make of that. And I wish people would talk about it more, because I need help. Well, I mean, the thing is, I think perhaps I disagree that Trump is not the final form, but in a couple of different ways, because I do think that Trump is the final form Trump is the final cult of personality for this movement. He is the most concentrated, you know, manifestation of the things that they think, but like, also, Trump is not a crunchy person in any regard whatsoever. He takes horrible care of himself. He eats fucking McDonald's every day and drinks Diet Cokes with every meal, you know. He's not a healthy man and has no interest in becoming healthy, you know. So, like, the crunchiness is really not what this is about. None of this is, the only thing that any of this is about is aesthetic. Truly, you know. I have read Sarah Ahmed. What have I read by her? Because I don't think it was that. It must have been an article, because none of these look familiar to me. But cultural politics of emotion. Yeah, I'll write that down. Sure. That sounds useful. ZZ Papakarisi is a big source for this. That's what I've been reading recently. A particularly cancerous autism. Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, and I agree. I think it's right. Fascism is not a belief structure. Is an Oedipal reaction to God. Josie, could you write my dissertation for me? But if that's the case, then we need to stop talking about it as a political philosophy. It's not. It's not. It's a political pathology, you know? My Fukuyama moment. Nobody else has the juice, you know? Explain why he keeps winning all these golf tournaments. That's a very good point. Our big, strong president. Yeah, yes. Because a lot of the crunchiness is aesthetic. Like drinking raw milk has no health benefit other than to signal you care about where your food comes from. Yes. Yeah. And that always exists. Health uh health and food source fads are not new. But I think there's a like we need to think about aesthetic, but also I think part of the reason a lot of people don't is because there's definitely a point at which you can overdetermine. I'm not sure if I'm using that word correctly, but literally overdetermine whatever sort of social milieu you're talking about, by seeing causes where there are necessarily none. I'm not making sense. An example of what I'm talking about is like if this movement had emerged 10 years sooner, if MAGA had the power, and if social media had given MAGA the power to do what they're doing now, then it wouldn't be trans people they're so anxious about. It would be gay people. But that ship has sailed, you know? Gay people are relatively accepted. They don't feel like they have to be in the closet. They can get married. Fucking Dave Rubin is gay with his husband and has a child, you know? Fucking Nick Fuentes is he's gay, you know? And it's just not a problem because this is not a matter of political philosophy, you know? Golf chalk. Trump is almost certainly at least bi. You know, good for him. It's just it's weird because it's like all of them are such fucking freaks. They're such degenerates, and it's like and it's I gotta be really careful what I say here. Somebody's gonna clip me and make me sound insane. But it's like I shouldn't say this. To them, being any kind of LGBT is degenerate and sinful and bad and gross and wrong. The fact that they do it anyway and have very little shame surrounding it because they don't need to anymore because there are no consequences from their in-group, that is the wrong part. You know what I mean? Like that's what transforms their behavior into something disgusting. It's not what they're doing it's why and how, you know. For a fascism paper a few years ago. Yes, please share your notes. I would like to write a paper about this someday. Oh yeah, they yeah, there was a photo of Janine Pirro walking out of the DOJ with one of those, like, take all your stuff home white boxes, so it may have already been done. I'm kind of surprised that she did that. I wonder what her rationale was, you know? Oh, yeah, like, lest I forget, yeah, Sam Altman's gay. Peter Thiel's gay. It doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't fucking matter anymore. Like, they will just pick whatever is available to demonize, you know? Yeah, queer is better. Yeah, it is heartbreaking. And it's fuck, it's so sad, man. You know, it's so sad. It like that is the that is the ultimate cruelty of all of this is how many people um, have convinced themselves through watching these people that there actually are no consequences, and they actually are just the same as you know, these people that they've decided to make cults of personality around. And that's not true, you know, which is why I'm told, I have not looked it up, but I know morale in ICE is awful, and I'm told that the suicide rate is very high. Like, it's the thing about, like, if you're a shitty person, like what a shitty person is and what it means to be a shitty person varies from culture to culture. But if your culture has decided that you are a shitty person, then there's kind of no coming back from that. There's certainly no coming back from that for people who are already in pretty disadvantaged positions to begin with. You know what I mean? It's like, sorry, your kids aren't ever going to talk to you again. And like, this is going to blow over eventually, and they're still not going to talk to you. And I say blow over, it's like, you know, pretty dismissive, but like, you know what I mean? I don't think this moment is going to last for fucking ever. You know? I'm not a doomer that way. I think it's silly to be. Everybody in every situation thinks that you know, this is it. But like, the consequences, and you know, like, this is why I respect Tolkien so much, and this is why I'm so interested not in religion necessarily, but in just metaphysics, in like tracking the, you know, the sort of like moral patterns in you know, different theologies, and figuring out what people ultimately care about, you know, and what they enforce in each other behaviorally. And it's like, eventually your behavior becomes so bad that there are gonna be consequences eventually. If not immediately. You know, because nobody's gonna fucking want to hang out with you. Anyway, head of the essay was gay. Frodo's like, oh yeah, Ernst Rome. Yep, openly gay. Palantir queer-owned business. Yep. Ranting and tangent columns for like, yeah, all he thinks about it, he just wants to be an interior designer. He wants to be a, you know, a like a fabulous MC. And design ballroom. That's what he wants to do. That's it. I totally, if Trump just went to therapy, he'd be a legendary drag queen. Yes, the hypocrisy is definitely part of the appeal. Correct. Yeah. You think some far rightoids would ever leave this country to found their own fascist micronation? They try all the time. That's not new at all. Look up the that like libertarian enclave in, I think, New Hampshire or Vermont or something. New Jersey, somewhere in the Northeast, and everybody got eaten by bears or some shit. I do believe in goodness of existence. It's true. I vehemently do not believe that Frodo and Sam were gay and in love. No. Yeah. Yeah. I think I agree. That is the most basic religious instinct. Yeah. That it is good to be alive. Life is a good thing. And it's like, that's why I sort of, I don't struggle with religion in the sense that like in the sense that like my faith in anything is challenged. It's like actually quite the opposite, where it's like I simply cannot bring myself to believe in the Christian God or any other God, but I fundamentally like I've tried, I've tried to believe in Jesus Christ and be a good Catholic. And I can't do it. I go to church and I simply don't believe. It's just not there. But what is there, and what I have absolute conviction in, is that life is a good thing, which is a matter of faith. And I think that one of the big pathologies of a lot of these tech bros is that they, and also, misogynists and bigots of every kind, is that they will not admit, and they do not even have the sort of like, mental faculties to recognize that their beliefs are a matter of faith. I would much rather people, and this is why I sort of rankle at the kind of like, new atheism, the new atheist attitude, but also just atheism, and how it's sort of packaged just generally, that like, you cannot help but encourage people to act as if they are atheists, in the same way that that Christians will say, well, you act as if you're a Christian, so you're a Christian. Everybody has articles of faith that they run their lives by, and it's very, very important that you are aware of the ways in which you conduct your behavior, which which aspects of the ways you conduct your behavior are based in faith and not logic. My words are leaving me. Yeah. The Nazis are interesting people. Okay, the one in Vermont was the one with the bears. Great. Oh, and also several in Latin America, yes. Free State Project, yes. Yeah, big same. I guess it depends on which God of Abraham I'm being presented with, because when somebody comes at you with their God, they're not actually showing you their God. They're showing you themselves as they have interpreted their own actions through their God. There are certain versions of the God of Abraham, of Abrahamic religion, that appeal to me, and certain ones that super don't. So, and unfortunately, the God of the Bible is not one that I'm particularly, disposed to believing in or worshiping, even if there were concrete proof. Yes, I have read Annihilation. There's no God, but there is Bog. There's a fourth Southern Reach. I did not know that. Oh yeah, and I mean, it's very standard for smart people to go through a new atheist phase. It's fine. I did it too, Yeah, the version that said, "Hey, kill your kid for me." Zoik. Yeah. David Bentley Hart. Okay. David Bentley Hart. Let's add another tab. My nose is itchy. Okay, let's do some actual work. I need to organize this shit. I already copy pasted the introduction. Um, um, there needs to be a paragraph. Oh. Sometimes OneDrive will just... Oh, God, fuck's sake, dude. Oh, my God! Sometimes OneDrive will just fuck with your formatting in a very obnoxious way. Lots of things that affect review. What's important is how political outcomes are affected. See this qualification that makes funders, whatever. I'll find a fucking quote. Who cares? Less straightforward than he would clearly like his listeners to think. Last video, I argued that Facebook ought to be properly understood and analyzed as an artistic medium rather than an indexing tool. It sells rather than the indexing tool it sells itself as. Here I'll make the case that is even more true for microblogging, which by further narrowing the amount and kind of information users are permitted to know about each other, creates easier experience that cannot help but interpret the information encountered affectively, that is, as a matter of emotional texture rather than verifiable fact or even coherently expressed opinion. In this video, we'll feel out the limits of that vision, what microblogging is said to do compared with its actual revealed use cases, and the position in which the online leftist finds themselves within it. That's a very awkward sentence. I don't like that. And the position in which the online leftist finds themselves within it. It makes grammatical sense, but it's not a good sentence. Fuck it. I'll deal with it later. Maybe the better thing to do would be to post the original one here too. Dissertation Twitter draft into 104 more pages. Holy shit, I have a problem. Okay, and then we can scooch this over here. And we can scooch this way, and then there we go. Okay. Draft 1. Okay. Okay. I started this by talking about how I tweet, which is badly. I'm not good at tweeting. But I like this, hell yeah, fuck yeah, this is kind of where I'm headed. Leapt straight into animistic atheopaganism, yeah. I didn't realize what it was until my wife pointed it out to me, yeah. Life is good, but it's impossible to understand. Oh my god, you watched the Deer Hunter High? Oh, bless your heart. So I would love to put this paragraph somewhere, but I just don't know if it fits because that I'm not good at tweeting, and that tweeting is a skill. And that is something that is missing here, is a discussion of tweeting being a skill. Maybe we can write that at the bottom. Maybe we can just like, yeah, add some, okay. Tweeting as a skill. And I think that's, well, I guess the only service this is really providing is in introducing the ethic that Twitter conducts itself with compared to Facebook. Because the way that I'm talking about it here is, in terms of like tweeting is a skill, and that's weird because that is not what Facebook is doing. Facebook, preoccupied as it is by the Sisyphean, I don't know about the Sisyphean. I just like how the rhythm there. Uh-oh. Mr. Morbid says, check it out. This could be anything. And he also said, great mixed message delivery. It's a YouTube channel he would like to emulate. He's trying to... He's dragging his feet a little, if you ask me, but he's trying to get a YouTube channel off the ground, and found a leftist gun tuber he would like to be like. Yeah, that looks good. Black Flag Civilian. 44,000 subscribers. I've never heard of him. Looks good. Okay, anyway, so the my nosy. So I think this is in a very scholarly way. I think it's really, really fascinating how different the ethic of Twitter is from the ethic of Facebook, because Twitter is transparently creative and Facebook is not. Facebook presents itself as reality itself. It is indexical. It is trying to map every aspect of reality onto this platform, and therefore the idea that Facebook is something you can be better or worse at is like anathema to how it wants to be perceived. And I think that's worth talking about. I am not certain about whether I need this, intro as like tweeting as a skill in order to do that. In fact, I may have already, I don't think I did bring it up. Okay, fine, whatever, we'll leave that there. Clown car that ran into a gold mine, yeah, for sure. And this is all pretty good shit. I think it may belong in the conclusion or the introduction. See, look at this. This is 19 pages. 19 pages of text here. And over here I have 15 pages. This can't be. What have I done? Ah! Twitter is more of a Souls-like. Hi, Gorilla. Hey, as long as I'm wasting time, how about I read my conclusion to you all, because I'm pretty proud of it. I think it's pretty good, and it's the reason that I just went ahead and launched into the second draft of this chapter instead of sending it to my committee. So let's read this. I'll do a little video preview here for you. On January 18th, 1778, Captain James Cook and his crew became the first Europeans to ever set foot on the Hawaiian Islands. The reaction of the native Hawaiians to this arrival, which was to greet him as an earthly representation of the god Lono. You know what? I'm going to take this off the screen so you guys can't read it. Don't read ahead. Don't read ahead in class. The reaction of the native Hawaiians to this arrival, which was to greet him as an earthly representation of the god Lono, has been a touchy subject in anthropology ever since, and for good reason. The stereotype of primitive reactionary natives seeing divinity in their colonizers has too many uses to the colonial project to name. The stakes for race relations are high in this conversation, a problem that is well represented by the public argument over the subject between anthropologists Gananath Obeyesekere and Marshall Solins, where Obeyesekere is of the opinion that assuming the native Hawaiians would have been any more irrational than the average European is racist stereotyping, and that they therefore probably didn't actually ascribe godhood to Cook. Solins argues that what is considered rational is itself subject to cultural forces, and the true racism is in assuming logic and practicality must look the same everywhere. Quote, in the realist theoretical practice adopted by Obeyesekere, in order for cultural schemata to function in practice, in order for people to successfully use their understandings of the world will have to consistently and objectively correspond to the ideas by which they know it. If not, their minds turn into Lockean blank sheets of paper, and the biological capacity for realism takes over. Indeed, a utopian Lockean world of empirical truth would be the pan-human fate, since, sooner or later, usually sooner, reality proves a disappointment to all people's categories. End quote. The details of... One second. This is how filming always goes. The details of who is factually right or wrong in this particular debate is beyond the scope of this project. What matters for our purposes is Stalin's suggestion of cultural continuity, his idea that cultures, including Europeans, are likely to interpret new events through the classifications available to them through their established communicative practices, rather than wholesale abandoning their systems of rationality in favor of a pre-existing realism as soon as they're challenged, as if no belief system is actually sincere, and all people in all places are simply testing out their own local version of Pascal's wager. Twitter is, more than anything else, a project of philosophical realism. In inventing the digital town square, Jack Dorsey sought to create a location out of whole cloth, where users otherwise constrained by the social limitations peculiar to their immediate surroundings could finally express the true rationality he believes is lurking beneath the arbitrary and superficial ornamentations of culture. This experiment of Dorsey's, which he conducted once by inventing Twitter and again by inventing Blue Sky before abandoning both projects to the ethereal realm of things broken, is a rare opportunity to see the persistence of cultural frames of reference in action. People are not freed from their cultural frameworks simply through virtue of opening a social media platform on their smartphone, because culture is not cosmetic or merely restrictive. It is descriptive. It is the means by which reality is made legible. Quote, unless experiences were selectively perceived, classified, and valued by socially communicable criteria, there would be neither society nor intelligibility, let alone sanity. Not to say that the interpretive categories are culturally prescribed, as if there were no improvisation or innovation, only that events are culturally described. Emphasis in original, close quote. For better and worse, the social constraints we're subject to in our offline lives arrange our perception of the world and our ability to describe it to both ourselves and each other. There is no way to improve human discourse by trying to create it again from first principles. There are no first principles. All attempts will necessarily import a pre-existing offline perspective. Furthermore, the architecture of Twitter as a location, as with any human structure meant to facilitate social activity, all but ensures the creation of a perspective that is unique to the platform. In trying to remove cultural imperatives, Twitter creates the conditions for its own. There are two options for the cultural development of microblogging websites, which are in constant tension with each other as the companies that run them scramble to find the precise software configuration that will, at long last, produce a perpetual autonomous rationality machine. Elon Musk may be a particularly dramatic and malignant example of the top-down option for Twitter governance, but the platform has never not been subject to the adjudication of a vanishingly small minority of executives, engineers, and moderators who, regardless of intent, are destined to make cultural decisions for the platform, which thoughts and behaviors are acceptable and which are not. The other option of an entirely hands-off approach, the free speech absolutism Elon Musk promised and characteristically failed to deliver, has never truly been attempted, but it seems eminently reasonable to suspect that absent this control, Twitter would still ultimately generate its own culture, its own particular discursive logic. Truly, the best reason for suspecting this is because it's already happening. In the vacuum created by the removal of obvious social signals, the users of Twitter create their own series of behavioral conventions and expectations that contextualize an otherwise contextless place, and in doing so, articulate the standards by which it is capable of being perceived as a place at all. Indeed, the persistence of users' reflexive attempts to make Twitter their own is the volatility that demands an authoritarian approach to maintain the perception that the digital town square is a place where moderation and restraint is inherent. The proclivity of human beings in any kind of collective to negotiate meaning with each other and their surroundings to unpredictable ends demands corporate micromanagement, lest the culture Twitter blooms into come to threaten the corporation itself, as well as the governing bodies that permit and facilitate its existence. Unlike the Wild West, microblogging platforms are, at least in their inception, truly uninhabited expanses of possibility. But like the Wild West, the project of colonizing this territory will produce culture, whether by the people who mandate its parameters of use or by the people who encounter and shape it day by day. Its identity is up to interpretation, but it will be interpreted. Twitter becomes the hell site, Blue Sky the new home of liberal intelligentsia and purity testing. In either case, the opportunity for rationality is itself constrained by the one thing microblogging absolutely must subject itself to, which is brevity. This limitation of expression may not limit individuals' capacity for thought in any absolute sense, but it cannot help but limit it in an affective sense, rearranging the standards by which its users are able to consider ideas complexly and reprioritizing the cultural value of those ideas as being dependent on their immediate social currency, simultaneously frivolous and high stakes, because juggling those two oppositions is what the culture of Twitter demands in order to perform its own coherence in a time when neither option can be guaranteed on its own to ensure the perpetuation of the company. It is a platform more dependent than any other on a feverish obsession by both user and company to reject the clearly explosive implications of reducing users' interpretations of reality to fragmentary tokens of subcultural exchange, a dynamic described appropriately by a tweet, imagining a person reading The Myth of Icarus but stopping 2/3 of the way through. Wow, he really did it. He flew super close to the sun with no consequences. The end. Isn't that good? I'm pretty proud of that. So I'm like newly energized to fucking finish this chapter. Okay. Shit. I've got so many tabs open. Okay, there we go. Yeah, exactly. Facebook presents itself as the world. Yes. Kind of like stage plays, but microblogging is a form like haiku. Yes. I would also agree that, stage plays are another medium, you know. And Facebook does still have its own medium logic, but yeah, microblogging is very much it's aphoristic, which is how I start this chapter. That that part of the problem with microblogging is that it structures all your communication in the form of an aphorism, and the problem with that is that aphorisms are not are not strictly descriptive. Aphorisms are in decay. They are descriptions of subjectivity, which is why aphorisms are, such a central part of Confucianism and Zen Buddhism and all of these deeply contemplative spiritual practices. That's how you're supposed to process, 2 lines of text that somebody has just told you. You're not supposed to process it as if it's literal, No subtitles, how will I read? Oh no, note resolve. I'll just DM you the conclusion. Don't worry about it. In fact, I'll do it now. 1 second. One second. Oops. Mm. Yes, I did. I did read that Icarus tweet to Gus in one of the episodes. Yeah. I'll publish a book and then die of old age. Chris's living embodiment of mine goes up. Holy shit, it's almost as if myths mean something. and aren't just aesthetics to crib from. Fuck. You never know, you know. I don't want somebody to like type I can't hear in the chat and be like, good meme. Some people can't hear. Okay. Okay, so tweeting is a skill. What's going on in this paragraph? What's happening here? Oh, very ambiguity of the user implied vaguely decided. Several celebrities were early adopters of Twitter. And also politicians. Okay, so who adopted Twitter first and why? Because this is a similarity that Twitter does have with Facebook, is that it's a functional similarity, but it's not a philosophical similarity. The thing about Facebook, and the thing that distinguished Facebook from all of its competitors, because Lord knows Mark Zuckerberg was not the first guy to come up with with a fucking social media network, you know. Doesn't take a genius to come up with this. And indeed, there were many other social networks that were doing similar things, that had like the basic, you know, the same basic structure, like Friendster, like MySpace. What made Facebook special is that it was exclusive, and exclusive not just to anybody, but to Ivy League universities, and that it, you know, and that it of course expanded to the rest of the American university system and abroad. And that was on purpose. Because Mark Zuckerberg cannot think of, and this is why Mark Zuckerberg is to this day, a liberal, you know. He's tried on the, you know, the conservative costume and he can't do it. Mark Zuckerberg believes he is like a pretty dyed-in-the-wool neoliberal. He believes that the best way to ensure prosperity for everybody is to make sure that they have access to the formal market economy. And that is not what Twitter was supposed to be at first, but that is how it ended up being anyway. First became popular at South by Southwest. It's when people started actually paying attention to it. And then after that, the first adopters kind of fell into two camps. It was either, it was like celebrities and politicians and people who would benefit from some kind of PR. It's worth writing down, actually. I think I have it in this draft already, but it's worth writing again. Two types: people who need PR, people who need PR, and professionals, specifically kind of like bourgeois professionals, like you know, service workers, by which I mean like. Everything means everything else. Like what's the term I'm looking for? You know, like media professionals, journalists, people who worked in government, information workers, you know, community PR, and like upper middle class information workers. And that kind of legitimized Twitter in the same way that Facebook was legitimized, because like, look at all these like yuppies using this website. It must be a gateway to upward mobility. Let's go ahead and write that down. And so more people adopted it. And that's the history of early Twitter. Isn't that weird? Yeah. Mr. Memes, has anyone ever had this idea other than at least 100 years of classic scholarship? It's been weird in Canada when news couldn't be shared online anymore on Facebook and Twitter, watching politicians and individuals struggle to communicate effectively. Woof. Conservative costume, gold chain, big neck. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Is there any expectations of how long your dissertation should be? No, I am imposing upon myself the 35-page, you know, standard that my dad told me, but these are ending up being a lot longer. It's like, Twitter is so fucking, all of these companies are so fucking complicated. I should have just picked one. I should have just picked YouTube and gone with that, because it's like, you have to contextualize all of this, man, like, it's all like, I wrote all this stuff, this 19 pages here, and hardly any of it was field work. Hardly any of it was like, so here's some of my field work, right? Of like how people behave on Twitter and why, and what the sort of, you know, what the etiquette is and how that's developed. But you have to describe the historical context of, you know, you got to describe the material conditions of your, what's the word? Of your subjects, of your informants, of your ethnographic, field. And that's so complicated. There's so much history to this shit. Oh yeah, that is interesting. Japan is the only country where Twitter is bigger than Facebook. Huh. It's a cool video that talks about why it's so popular there. What's the video called? I want to see if it's by who I think it's by. Tell me, what's the video called? Tell me, Dr. Seuss lover, I'm waiting. Epic Homesteading's tomato harvest got out of hand. Good for them. Hank Green's situation is weird and sad. I would like to watch this video. It is weird and sad. Why Japanese people can't quit. I bet it is by the person I'm thinking of. Why Japanese people can't quit. X. Is it this one? It's not the person I was expecting. Okay, I'm gonna save to watch later. I thought for sure it was gonna be Japanalysis. That'd be a good subject for them. The writer for Japanalysis is a buddy of mine. He's my pal.
So Hank Green, one of the most popular.
Emily Wilson, Chris Nolan beef. I considered making an Odyssey video, you know, a reaction to all the Odyssey discourse, and I think the moment's just going to pass. I just don't have time. I don't have time. I don't have time. I don't have time to do anything except dissertation work right now. But you know, what I think is what I said on Blue Sky, which is that it is absolutely fine for classics professors to not know very much about movies. It's okay. Like, people, it's like the state of our epistemological epistemological for sure, but also like the infrastructure behind it, like our pedagogical expectations and structures also. Now a regular eye patch wolf. Yeah, it's like certain kinds of people think that professors know everything, and no, professors actually tend to be kind of idiots. Like professors know everything about their specific subject. That's part of why this project is such a challenge for me to finish, because like, and I think that this is the future of academia, this kind of interdisciplinary thing that I'm doing, but it's like there's I'm such a trailblazer, guys. Like there are so few people doing the kind of thing that I'm trying to do here as a dissertation project, that it's really becoming quite a challenge, you know. Like this like as a PhD, you're supposed to be an expert in your subject, and I believe that my subject is absolutely coherent and capable of being, you know, described as its own single thing. But in practice, and what I have to prove is relative expertise in media and communication, mass communication studies, economics, like economic theory, and anthropology. Like people get their PhDs in one of those things, you know, typically. And it turns out that's really fucking hard. It's really, really fucking hard. Hank Green. So essentially what happened this week is that Hank Green puts out a video, and in the middle of the video, kind of out of nowhere, I don't know, there's like some, you could explain it other ways, but in the middle of the video, Hank Green says with his mouth, it's really important that I get it right. Hank Green says with his mouth, "Here's a better way to say that, and I appreciate the pushback." Uh-oh. And people start saying, hey, Hank Green, what's that about? You know, and then it seems like what happened is that people started scrutinizing more of his recent work and kind of finding sort of AI tells in it. And so Hank Green made a big post about it, talking about how, like, yeah, he's been using AI too much recently, like talking about it in sort of like addict terms, you know, to the point that he said, like, yeah, and my, you know, this is enough of a problem that my wife and my brother have brought it up to me. So I'm gonna be, you know, adjusting my workflow, and sorry, and like, fuck, nightmare. So scary. It's my nightmare. Not because it's like one of those to me, because I don't use AI to write. Because holy shit, what a shitty thing to do to your craft, you know. But that's the kind of thing that like content creators have nightmares about, that like whether you use AI in your stuff or not, or if you don't, but this is more likely if you don't use AI in your stuff, that you're gonna have nightmares about AI being discovered in your work, and you're like, but I don't use it. You know. So that's what happened to Hank Green. Sucks, mortifying. I feel for him, and what he said is that, like, yeah, I don't write with AI, but I use it to, you know, to do research, to formulate ideas. I think probably he started getting into a bad habit of optimizing his work by either copy pasting or by asking AI to outline his stuff. I don't have any evidence to suggest that that's the case at all, you know, at all. The only reason I say that is because the intensity of his response about this speaks to me of shame. You know what I mean? Um, that like shit got out of hand. Um, I like Hank Green generally, and I think like he'll make it through. And it sounds like he's dealing with it thoughtfully and in a characteristically sort of Hank Green kind of intelligence and optimism. But like, it is interesting to see how like it's not a man. We always just end up becoming ourselves, huh? You know, like Hank Green has been pretty open about, oh, you're so cute. Look at your dumb little face. You look exactly like a polar bear. Um, Hank Green has been very open about how one of his regrets in his professional life is the optimism with which he approached social media, you know, and whatever small contribution he had to the internet becoming as hellish as it is now. And so it's interesting to me that it seems like he fell into the same kind of trap with AI, you know. I don't know. It's sad. It sucks. I hope he's okay. So like it's a big deal. It's not that big a deal. And the way people are reacting to it, like some people are being pretty fucking unhinged about it, you know. Um, I watch actual movie people talk about the Odyssey, and their way to talk about the culture war stuff is actually so simple. It's just the opinions from people we don't want to hear from, we don't have to consider. Yep. Like that is art is literally the only thing you can do that with in the entirety of human experience, which I think is part of the reason tech bros are so anxious and unsettled and insecure, is because they all want that. None of them want to be tech industrialists. All of them want to be sci-fi writers, but they don't have any talent or imagination, you know. And so they just like they take all of the aesthetic concern and interest and you know kind of the modalities of narrative criticism. They just pick that up, they lift it, and then they paste it onto literally real life. And so this results in all of these rich fucks, all of these just like reprehensible people, like making themselves reprehensible because they truly believe that they do not have to consider the opinions of people they don't want to hear from. And that's actually an immoral thing to do in everything except art. At least one of them is bullshit. YouTube knitters were onto him months ago about how vague and uninformed his videos on knitting were. Yeah. I had not known that, but I did start hearing about that after this came out. Stop it. Don't chew on my chair. How dare you? I saw that Canadian Parliament guy. Here's a way to say this. See, here's a way to say this that sounds whatever, you know. Bad. This is actually something that I wrote about here. That like part of the reason that it is really really bad to use AI in any kind of research, any kind of serious research. And this is also something that I think is going on here, where it's offensive in a very interesting way to me. This whole Hank Green AI thing, that like the idea that Hank Green has been, you know, that like his output has been so strong lately because he's been using AI, is because like that to me says that you are not taking your craft seriously. And I understand that Hank Green has a lot of jobs, but like, and this is a core problem with a core ethical problem with it, You know, that you're like, you're presenting all of this stuff as if it was, as if it's yours, as if it's just, you know, the same. And you just like, he's like, didn't care enough to, or didn't have enough time, like, you know, whether he didn't have enough time or whatever brought him to this position resulted. I think he does care about video making, but I think AI made him not care about it, you know, in favor of optimization. That sucks. I take videos really seriously. I don't think I'm very good at making them, you know. I'm definitely not a very good cinematographer, but like I take writing really seriously. This is my craft, you know, and so like it's just like it's disrespectful to what is functionally his vocation. But you know, maybe he just doesn't think about video making that way. Whatever. Okay, I'm gonna catch up with the chat and talk about what I was just about to talk about. Do you think people are approaching this too much like a witch hunt? Maybe a little bit. I don't love how people are. Well, like, so I don't know if I would say that he's medicalizing the choice he made. I do like, he did mention dopamine. He did kind of frame it in terms that you can, you know, I know I just said that he framed it in terms of like addiction. And he did a little bit, but I think people are extrapolating way beyond what he actually said, which is that he was just like kind of getting wrapped up in the dopamine hit, you know? And in that way, I do kind of think that some people are approaching it a little bit like a witch hunt. Yeah. Makes you dependent since you forget how to do all the things you pass off to it. Yep. Is this really a scandal? No, not really. Like, this is, it's gonna be fine, you know. But it's like, what's really nightmarish about it, and the reason why this is such a content creator nightmare is because you know, it's so predictable that anytime something like this happens, where it's like it is, you know, in an absolute sense, not a big deal, but the there's going to be a certain sector of people online who are going to treat it like the biggest deal, and those people are going to get a lot of momentum, you know? Yeah, he's a little bit of a, he overworks himself pretty clearly. So refreshing here, balanced take on this topic. Hey, do my best. People got to get their shit together, you know. It's embarrassing, but it's gonna be fine. Thank you, Carlos. Don't gas me up like that. I don't need a bigger ego. Yeah. Hope he reevaluates his priorities after this, and I think he will. He's a conscientious guy. I just didn't want to group him in with the Sigma male get rich quick hustle guys. Yeah. Who's big polar bear dog? This is Russ. He's on my left now. Asking me about going outside. Hi, Hampton! I'll buy Eclipse. It's probably already gone. Hank Green has always been someone who cares more about distribution than he does about content. That's why he was so early to vlogging. Yeah. And I think this is also a bit of a failing of YouTube, and it's something that might be worth talking about when I get to that chapter. That like, I mean, I'm definitely going to talk about this. That like, one of the problems with YouTube, and one of the things that that really disturbs me about it, I guess, would be the thing to say. Hey, no, give me that. Stop it. No. God damn it. supposed to be a gift. I finally have the opportunity to give them next month, and I think he may... Well, they're not ruined, but I don't know. I'll wash them. One of the things that really disturbs me about Twitter is that people, because similar to what of YouTube, I like, so similar to what I'm saying about Twitter here, there's no social media that's just gonna be populated by Lockean blank sheets of paper, as Solon puts it. You know, like, everybody is bringing with them all of their cultural baggage to any new platform that is made. And one of the things that I think that audiences bring to YouTube is are consumption habits that make them think of YouTubers as traditional media figures. You know, people watch YouTubers, and and I think a lot of people just sort of reflexively assume, completely uncritically and completely without thinking about it, assume that YouTubers have the same resources as, like, your local news station. You know what I mean? And that sucks. Because in any other professional media situation, certainly professional filming situation, you know, there's your talent, me, who's actually in front of the camera and performing all the stuff. But then you also have a writer, you also have an editor, you also have a camera guy, you also have a lighting guy, you also have a sound guy, you also have, you know, you have assistants for all of those people. You have, you know, people whose job it is to set you have your set dresser. You in the background, you have your marketer, you have your PR, you have your manager, you have your lawyer that's like gonna you know, make sure that that you don't get yourself into trouble. Audiovisual media has, you know, established itself over the past century or so as a very, very collaborative product. And YouTube is the opposite of collaborative. That's why anytime that's why the entire concept of a collaboration exists. You know, a collaboration exists in opposition to the to the neutral assumption that all of these people are doing this on their own. Really bad. And, you know, one of the reasons that's bad is because if you are a person who has ambitions in being in media, and YouTube, you know, you're part of the generation like I am, where YouTube is kind of the most available entry into media work, then you can't really follow your own interests. I don't like filming. I kind of fucking hate it. And I think I'm okay at it. I'm good at performing because I was a theater kid. Like, and I like performing. I like performing my own scripts. But I am a writer and a producer. And if I were in a traditional media situation, those are the positions that I would prefer to be in, you know? And it's pretty clear to me, to your point, that, like, Hank Green is a guy who wants to be in distribution, and he can't. He has to make videos instead. And that sucks. It's not good, you know? I need you to get out of here. You're being kind of obnoxious. You're so cute. Where the hell have you been, Loca? I've been trying to finish this fucking chapter. Thank you. Russ, you are perfect. Oh yeah, what was I saying here? Okay, so yeah, here we're on the right page even. What am I talking about here? All this has to be rewritten. Fieldwork here. Ugh, I'm in danger. Oh yeah. So I was talking about in this paragraph about the sort of like the the kind of like mania that was surrounding the possibilities of social media when it first came out. So what I have written here is, as a function of the optimism surrounding social media's supposed open-air demonstration of itself as a force for democracy, it became more and more common to refer to it in fabulous terms as a hive mind, an independent mass, and more common to, an independent mass perspective produced by a compendium of global opinion. In a mode of analysis that would foretell the popular interpretation of AI, the suggestion became that Twitter and its data pool would soon render the world into a searchable field. The physical world and all thoughts, small and large, within it rendered Googleable. My footnote here, I'm putting all my clips in the form of footnotes, and this person I quote here found one from, I think, 2009. It's this really old YouTube video, this sort of like techno optimist channel that's now defunct, of course. And in it's the most 2000 like neoliberal 2009 tech optimism you've ever heard. Listen to this. This lady is talking about Twitter, which is very, very new. It's a real dissertation. Yeah. In terms of word count, it's maybe half done, optimistically, generously. So this lady, this lady's sitting at her desk and just like describing Twitter to you, because Twitter is very new in the year she's making this. It's a channel called Rocket Boom. And she says, Twitter is not just a place to, oh, Jesus. Is our Winds of Winter for real. Twitter is not just a place to find out what your friends are doing right now. It's a place to find out what everyone is doing right now. It's a lot like having a surveillance camera that allows you to zoom into the world wherever you want and see what's going on there in real time. Almost as if Google Maps was fed with a live satellite feed. When Google CEO's Eric Schmidt was lamenting the state of the economy and the vulnerability of Google's ad-based revenue earlier this week, he rather offhandedly called Twitter a poor man's email system. When he said poor man's email, he didn't just leave women out of the picture. He left out search. It takes Google hours and sometimes days to update returns. Compared to Twitter search, Google search returns suddenly seem old and static. Isn't that perfect? Like, complete with this sort of, you know, neoliberal second wave feminism that would turn into girl bossing. It's incredible. I love that quote. You remember Rocket? I don't know. And so, like, that's interesting, you know. I mean, I won't touch the whole, like, you know, second wave feminism aspect of that quote, as interesting as it is, but you know, but this is the same problem going on with Twitter is the same problem going on with AI. Which is that, well, what I say here, and this absolutely has to go in the new draft, is that the treatment of Twitter as a collective consciousness skips over the most crucial step in the creation of a technology as groundbreaking as that would be, which is the part where you actually create a collective consciousness. In the 2020s, it's often a matter of reflexive acceptance by both detractors and evangelists that AI is accumulation of the intellectual output of the entirety of human history. It is not. It is not. AI has processed maybe a plurality of what's on the internet, and that's it. So that's like, you know, in terms of research, using it for research, to me, that's most of why using AI to do research for you is a terrible idea, because it doesn't have access to most research, you know? And this, you know, matters for Twitter too, because of course, Twitter, the most daily active users Twitter has ever had, though it is you say here a big number in absolute terms, is 237 million daily active users. Oh my god. That is under 3% of the global population. That is not a collective consciousness. Go fuck yourself. That is ridiculous. You know, like it's like we have to come up with these sci-fi abstractions and then pretend as if these toys are actually providing those. That's what's happening with Twitter and with Facebook. Russ, stop it. I'm so tired of you. Stop. Okay, I need to go put the chickens in so I can let this dog out because he's really fucking annoying me. I got 5 eggs. Not bad. Oops. The dog put chickens in himself. Yep, having taste is the hardest thing to do. Energy and persistence outlast all things. It's, truly, he was just harassing me, so I would let him out. I've seen it 6 times. I know you haven't. No way. Spider-Man's my favorite superhero. I'm excited to see it. Currently editing a podcast episode about sexology's place in the roots of narcissism as a diagnostic term. That sounds fascinating. Who's the podcast? Okay. Yeah, this is the kind of thing that I think probably has to move. This whole global consciousness thing, I think maybe might not fit here. I'm waffling about including Arab Spring in this. I think I don't know. The Arab Spring thing is so important that it seems like I should give a brief overview, but I don't know. It's like I'm not sure where I should do the full description of it, because it's really important to both Facebook and Twitter. Less so YouTube. So maybe I just split it between YouTube and Twitter. How Facebook was used in the Arab Spring and how Twitter was, right? That makes sense. I'll do that. Bye, Carlos. Ordinary unhappiness. Let's look it up. A podcast about psychoanalysis, politics, pop culture, and the ways we suffer now. That sounds fun. Man, me and Gus should get a website. Gerontophallocracy, woof. What a word. Cool. Yeah, this whole AI thing, since it's like I don't know, commentary on the future, maybe, probably needs to go to the conclusion. Oh, I need to talk to the very horror hesitant host into getting you on. Oh, yeah, I'd do that. Yeah, convince them. I'll do it. Very relevant for a psychoanalysis. Um, you know, pretty much the entire like post-war through 70s film theory analysis. What's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. 70s film theory is very, very Freudian. Obsessed with psychoanalysis. Psychoanalysis is super important to her. Continue with movie night stuff, but man, me too. I'm so fucking busy, which is also why the Discord server is such a mess right now. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm also trying not to do anything to make it worse, you know. The uncanny is a gateway to breaking open the unconscious as a concept. Nice. I need to let the dog in 1 second. We've got, for the first time in my life, I'm concerned that I may have too many animals. Ah, god damn it, Russ. You fucked up my chair. Oh, that's nice, Clay. Thank you. We do need help. Hi, Rui. Man, you're getting so old. God. Rita's gonna turn 13 in a week. Exactly a week. Isn't that nuts? Oh my god, soon we'll all be dead. Okay, and so I just like fucking drop a huge a huge bomb here and just leave it. Or I like you can't just like bring in Hobbs and just like leave it on the table and dip, you know. I got to do something about this. This probably needs to go into the conclusion too when we're describing the probably the description of the yeah, because okay, so what a lot of what I'm trying to do here is sort of diagnose the particular kind of pathology being expressed by all these people, what they have in common with each other, and I think that's something that you do in the conclusion of this project. So all of this will go there. And yet, but I really like this quote. Maybe I should just pick another Richard Seymour quote. Because he is not actually talking about Twitter. He's talking about the twittering machine, which is social media. In ordinary conversation, the participants are all simultaneously present and the discussion unfolds in real time, not with the usual lag of written correspondence or emails. Because of this, conversation is informal, loose in its use of conventions, and assumes a lot of shared ground between participants. The social industry aspires to the same celerity informality to give the impression of being a conversation. It gives voice to the voice. However, what the twittering machine produces is in fact a new hybrid. The voice is indeed given a new written embodiment, but it is massified. It becomes uncannily detached from any individual. It acquires a life of its own, immense, impressive, playful, polyphonic, chaotic, demotic, and at times dread-inspiring. Nice. Okay, but the oxytocin thing and the parasocialism thing, I think do have to... Oxytocin and parasocialism. So the thing that I've got going on here is that I found like a study. Well, several studies apparently, all compiled into Parmalee and Bichard's book. That say people's oxytocin levels increase with Twitter. And the thing that they say about it is, yes, well, I'm sure dopamine levels increase too, but oxytocin is especially interesting because it's the pro-social chemical, you know? And that's what the authors say about it. It's interesting that the absence of physical contact does not interfere with the user's feeling connected on an emotional level to other users. And I think that is a grave misinterpretation of this datum. I don't think it's other users that people are feeling this affection toward, because they're not meeting they don't know them. You know, this is in line with the theory that you know, one of my main theses of this project, that when you're talking to people on the internet, you're not actually talking to people. I introduced that in the Facebook chapter, and so maybe it's good to bring that in here. Internet, not talking to people. So you don't know people. You don't know the person that you're talking with on Twitter. And so I don't think that it's other users that are the object of those chemical responses. To me, this interpretation seems like an uncritical affirmation of the story Twitter is telling of its own motive and function, rather than a clear descriptor of cause and effect. It seems equally possible and intuitive to me that it's not other users people are feeling this trust and affection toward, but rather the platform itself. You know? It's like as a mass, Twitter takes on its own attitude, its own perspective. It's like, I was reading one of my interviews today, and in one of them, I say something interesting, which is that it feels like Twitter is just kind of like, a platonically ideal Twitter user disagreeing with itself. You know, it's like nobody is actually an individual on Twitter. You're just sort of aspects of this like metaphysical, you know, Hobbesian Leviathan that like everybody together produces the opinion of Twitter, which is and that figure is what Elon Musk thinks he is. It is very much a theological, spiritual thing. It is very much a structure that you would see in a religion, or that you would see in a religion, and that is the basis for monarchism, you know. Oh, sweet. Okay. Hit up the contact form on the Ordinary Unhappiness site. Ask for Dan. Why have so many fucking Dans in podcasts? My editor is named Dan. I produce this show. We can knock around schedules, make it happen. Okay, I'll do it. What if it's a Russian bot? What if Russian or Israeli? This is a problem too. This is why, even if it were true, even if everybody in the world used Twitter, and it were an actual searchable compendium of what people are up to at any time all over the planet, you would still be importing all of this fraud, and so the fraud itself becomes, part of the character of the ideal Twitter user, So. The people who work at Twitter are very aware that Twitter isn't one thing. I don't think that's true. Well, no, I don't think it's true that they think that they. I don't think they are aware that Twitter isn't one thing. I think that, in much the same way that everybody in this book is thinking that they're doing privacy work, they fucking aren't. Because they're not thinking about this in terms of how people actually behave. They're thinking about this in terms of Jack Dorsey's image of, my metaphor here is like a Richard Scarry busy town illustration, and that's what humanity is. He talks about how, when he made Twitter, he was thinking about, let's see, let's go ahead and find the quote, because I have it right here. It started with a fascination with cities and how they work and what's going on in them right now. That led me to the only thing that was tractable in discovering that which was bicycle messengers and truck couriers roaming about delivering packages. That allowed me to create this visualization, to create software that allowed me to see how this was all moving in a city. Then we started adding in the next element, which are taxi cabs. Now we have another entity roaming around the metropolis, reporting where it is and what work it has going over GPS and CB radio or cell phone. And then you get to the emergency services, ambulances, fire trucks, and police, and suddenly you have this very rich sense of what's happening right now in the city, but it's missing the public. It's missing normal people. He thinks that cities are literally a Richard Scarry busy town illustration, and that people in their jobs live at their jobs and don't do anything else. These are the philosophy that builds a website like Twitter cannot think in terms other than archetypical. Do you know what I mean? The global commons town square thing is a narrative that they use externally, but you can't believe that and also run Twitter. It's at a certain point in this you get to speculation, and I think that this is a kind of a nagging lack of settlement in people, in certainly the CEO, the executive class of these platforms. But I don't know how much to go into this in the project itself, because it involves so much speculation. I don't know what's in Mark Zuckerberg's heart, but he doesn't seem like a very complicated guy. And I think he is, or at least was at one point, a true believer that he could recreate reality digitally, and that it's just a matter of engineering. Jack Dorsey kind of fancies himself an anarchist, He thinks that if you take away the corporate element in social media, then people will just organize themselves naturally. Everything will just kind of fall into place. But he is ignoring how fastened the logic of social media platforms and the internet in general is to capitalist ideology, and the way it arranges itself is not natural in that way. It didn't have to be this way. The internet is this way because it is useful. What's it useful for? Modern Western society, capitalism, so that's the basic argument of the project as a whole. And I think when it comes to the engineers themselves, and yeah, I think, I don't know if I want to bring in this Industry Unbound book because I think it's useful, but only if it's only in conversations like this, I guess, where you can think that you're doing your job. and just not be. Hi.
Hello. Yeah.
Oh, nothing.
No stream.
It's fine.
Talk about books.
I'm talking about dissertation. I was trying to do some dissertation work since I need to anyway, but just kind of yapping, not really getting any work done, so
No.
it's fine. It's been helpful.
Very good.
I'm gonna hop off here in a sec.
Alright.
How's your day?
Fine. Yeah. Talking to dumb people all day.
Yeah.
Reading comprehension. Terrible. What am I? Sir, the instructions are there. I don't understand. I'm not a super technology guy, but you know, I can figure it out. It's not that hard.
I know.
Boomers, man. Fucking boomers.
Fuck you, Hampton. I think you might be giving Jack Dorsey too much credit for having his own ideas as opposed to reacting to questions put to him by people who have policy in their job title. What do you mean by that? Because Twitter was most certainly Jack Dorsey's idea, and it is like compared to certain other platforms, pretty unchanged from its original conception. The way that you know, Ev Williams and Jack Dorsey and all of the executives started thinking about it changed, but the service itself is pretty much the same. Twitter was Jack Dorsey's idea, wasn't it? Was a SMS relay. Yeah. Skyrim for the next playthrough? Maybe. Maybe. We can come up with hashtags or mentions or image uploads or really anything else. No, most of the actual features, definitely not. Okay, I gotta refill the fish tank because the sound is getting to me. Cats drink out of the fish tank and lower the water level. It's very annoying. I have to refill it like thrice a day. Boop, 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 boop. Yeah, a little bit of parasocialism, try not to get too terribly into it, but I think yeah, so okay, yeah, and so this is the connective tissue between what I just said and why I think parasocialism is relevant to this, because I think that that people are parasocial to each other, not just celebrities, and I don't see that, you know, suggested very often. You can be parasocial. You have a parasocial relationship to people who are not famous, you know. And that kind of, I think that kind of changes the texture of what we're talking about when we're talking about parasocialism. Hampton, stop smoking. Bad for you. Like you and me being besties. I have me and the entire chat, every single one of you. I don't know any of you people. Our relationship is parasocial. I think that we have not special or better No, Hampton, I think you're very special. I think that you are one of my most valued chatters. I don't think that we don't steal my dissertation. Don't do that. I think that it's another kind of uncomfortable truth we have to face in our society that we have avoided because the internet is really useful. The internet does, connect people. You can make real connections through the internet, but until it gets offline, it's parasocial. you know? And that's a problem. And I don't think it's a problem that we're, I think that's a problem for how a lot of the left conceptualizes, the digital world, and how a lot of the right conceptualizes the digital world. How everybody, it's just like a matter of, sort of cultural status quo right now. And we gotta get a clear head about it, I do love this sentence. I hope I can keep it. The commercial sublime created by Facebook's structure and history, its clear celebration of the neoliberal demand that professional interests and social interests be reflexively considered in alliance, if not entirely inseparable, makes the ever-presence of businesses on Facebook both immediately noticeable and immediately acceptable. It's just how Facebook is now. But Twitter cannot arrange its priorities in service of business interests without risking its perceived value as a specifically discursive rather than personal professional tool. So, I thought about talking about bubbles, but I think I will put that in the conclusion also. This idea that hug boxes, internet echo chambers are bad assumes that we should be using the internet for civic participation. I don't think we should. Or if we are going to use it for civic participation, then it cannot also be a mode of entertainment. That's the core problem with social media, I did not see the invite. I do want to see it. Yeah, people don't realize how radical Facebook's insistence that everyone have one identity regardless of context was radical and very deliberate. In fact, I'm so glad you said that. Look at the first sentence of chapter 1. Mark Zuckerberg thinks you have one identity. And then I have like several pages about Elon, which is also a problem. I don't know how much talking about Elon is too much, We'll see. When do I stop talking about Elon? Whoops. One of the cats sat on the keyboard, looks like. Let's go ahead and fix that. Boop. Let's see, we start here, so half a page, 2.5 pages. Elon's important to think about. I don't know if he's I don't know if he's 7 pages important, He heavily implies shit at Elden Ring and Diablo. Ugh. I don't know. It's important to talk about Elon. I must, because he is sort of the advent of Elon Musk to this platform is like kind of what turns it into its final form, you know? Because like truly, Elon Musk has gotten it most right. Like, he has seen what Twitter is trying to be and accepted it, which is disturbing to think about, you know. Sometimes your op is also the most important section in your dissertation. Sometimes it's just that way. But on Warlock main. What if they delete everything? This is OneDrive. Tommy did do that. As I'm sure you all know, it was a very, very difficult week for me. She deleted 5 pages of chapter 1. And it was the first 5 pages. It was like the first stretch of this project that I was actually proud of. So that really sucked. And that's when I started writing on OneDrive instead of Word. W. Tommy. It's back when she was happy. Poor Tommy. Okay, I think I'm gonna leave. I think I'm gonna go eat dinner and actually maybe do some work. Look what I did. It's the accomplishment of the evening. Is figuring out what needs to be included. Bye, Hampton. I missed you too. Dante wrote a giant ass play about his ops and everyone thinks he's great. It's true. True. Okay. See y'all later. Probably Friday or something. We'll see.